Go!
Hello, I'm John Shepherd, and in this short video we're going to talk a little bit about what you should be doing in the off-season and on your return to training. This is in part a response to a couple of questions that I've had through the YouTube channel. One from Trio and one from Nick Douglas. Both ask very similar questions along the lines of how much time do I give my athletes off at the end of their season, and also should you be doing speed and power work during the off-season. In the UK, and I know it's different when you're in the States for example, but I'll give my athletes 3 to 4 weeks off at the end of the season, which is around the middle of September. So we'll start back early October, middle of October. Those of you that have been regularly following my channel will know that my training is very much at the sharp end. It's all about the qualities that will improve your performance directly. So we don't do too much general training. We're very much working on speed and power and even technique all year round. So therefore, I ask my jumpers and sprinters to return back to training so that they would be able to do plyometrics, acceleration work and skipping drills, for example, in the first week of training. So in order to achieve that on their return during their off season, they need to keep in shape. Now, they're obviously not required to train like they would be during season, but I'll expect them to be doing some pre-conditioning, pre-training exercises, which I'll talk about later, going for the occasional run with some sprints in it, some sprint drills, some abdominal exercises, etc., and perhaps to play some sports which maintain some of the qualities that we're going to use when we return to training. Now in the States, from what I understand, you have a much longer break between the end of the outdoor season and the start of autumn or fall training, as you guys call it. So that's a couple of months. So you've got a much longer period in which you can lose condition, and therefore I think it's more incumbent on you to follow a more prescriptive training program to bring you back to some kind of specific fitness for when you return to your track and field training back in August, September time. You still want to make sure that you're not going to break down and get injured on your return, and therefore, very similarly to what I would be recommending to the guys in my group in the UK, I still think that you should be doing some specific drills and exercises that relate to jumping and sprinting in the off season, as this will reduce any potential for injury and get you more up to speed, literally more quicker on your return. So why do you need to train specifically during the off season? And by that I don't mean full on, it's just a couple of times a week, a few exercises, specific drills every now and again. Basically because during the season you'll have gained a lot of speed and specific jumping ability. So why would you want to lose those qualities? So what I'm trying to do is minimize the jump between starting training and then getting back on track very quickly. You should also be working on your physical weaknesses. Therefore, if you've got or had suffered from hamstring problems or Achilles tendon issues, then you need to be working on exercises that are going to minimize their reoccurrence. This is known as pre-training or pre-conditioning. And this pre-training should run continuously throughout your training year. So even when you're back in training, you should always be working on your weaknesses so that they don't become weaknesses, so that your body is strong enough to cope with all that's required of it. I'll give an example though. Your hamstrings potentially are most likely to be strained during the eccentric portion of the sprinting action. That's when the heel goes from the back of the body to the front and the hamstrings have to stop the foot before it hits the track surface. Therefore, if you're doing eccentric exercises during the off season, then you're less likely to suffer from hamstring strains. Another thing you can work on are imbalances between the right and left side of your body. Now this is particularly key if you're a triple jumper and you've got a significant strength discrepancy between, for example, your right and your left legs. So therefore you can work on single leg presses on the left leg, single leg squats and so forth, and perhaps hop on that left leg. Again, not in terms of doing full-on workouts, but perhaps once to twice a week doing a couple of exercises, reps and sets, perhaps in one session, plyometrics and weights at the same time. For me, I start literally as we mean to finish. i.e. with all the components of training that you'll be doing when you're getting closer to the competitions. So as I've mentioned it earlier, there'll be acceleration work, there'll be lots of sprint drills, plyometrics, and after a couple of weeks we'll start pit work. Some of you are going to be saying, but what about general strength? What about general fitness? Well, it's general. It's not going to help you jump further. It's going to give you a base of fitness that will enable you to do more training. So if you're a relatively training mature athlete with 3 to 4 years training behind you, you should have already developed a good base of training, general training. Therefore, you can get more and more specific as you mature as an athlete. Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't do any general training. What I do is I integrate it into the units, the training units that we do throughout the early season. So we may do a unit of sprint drills focusing on foot strike and the action of the hips when running. Maybe a plyometric unit with drop jumps in it. And then at the end of the session, we'll do a circuit. So it's not separate, it's integrated into the workout. So therefore, from a general training perspective, you're getting that as an add-on, but it's not detracting from the specific elements of the training, because those are the ones that are going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, the ones that are going to make you improve as a jumper, as a sprinter. As usual, thanks for listening and good luck with your training and competition. Give this video a thumbs up if you like what you see, and do leave any comments and questions in the section below or through my Instagram. And of course, do subscribe to the channel. And good luck with your training and competitions.